Hello, everyone, and welcome to At America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center. It's delightful to see all of you here on a wonderful Saturday where we gather to explore the theme going beyond through global education. And hi, my name is Hasnar Hani, and I will be your host for today. Today, we will gain insight on how global education, particularly in the United States, opened doors to academic excellence, cultural exchange, and career advancement. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our audience here joining us from the studio. We have here a good number of students from Sampoerna University. Hi, everybody. And also, I would like to say hi to our online audience joining us via online platform at home. And let me take you on an interactive quiz. I have here a little trivia question for you. And the question for today is it true or false it's not possible to obtain a bachelor degree and a master's degree at the same time in the US? You can type it your answer at any time during the session on our social media platforms because we'll do a live shout out from by the end of the day to for you who gets the answer correctly. All right, moving forward, we'll shortly kick off the engaging panel discussion featuring distinguished alumni who have experienced the transformative power of studying abroad in the United States. Therefore, allow me to pass the floor to our moderator for today. He is the president of Sampoerna University Debate Society. Please give a warm welcome to Philip Kusuma Surya.
Test. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to Kahasna for introducing me, and I am so thrilled to be in front of all of you today, introducing our TEDxSU pre-event. Woo! So, my name is Philip, and you can just call me Phil, and I'm going to be guiding you today throughout our interactive discussion with our two amazing guest speakers that I'm sure all of you already know about. So, it's my pleasure to be here today to bring you the topic of evolving education and how to pursue it in a global sense. Because education is evolving, and the chance to experience learning beyond borders has never been more exciting. To start our session, let's go ahead with a very fun Kahoot session. We're going to collect all of your juicy inquiries, but also ask you a couple of questions regarding what you already know about the US education system. So everybody, please feel free to go ahead and join the Kahoot, pull out your phones, and answer our questions. Quick reminder, please use your real names, and if you have the lucky chance of winning, there's actually some prizes available for the top 3 people that have the opportunity to win this Kahoot quiz today. So I'm seeing a lot of names. We're probably gonna start I'm gonna give you guys around 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds, and we're going to start the game, so hurry up. If you don't have data, ask your friend for a hotspot. 10 seconds, everybody. Whoa, we have a lot of participants here. Okay. 5. Actually, yeah. Okay. Has everybody joined? Does anybody want me to wait on them? I think that everyone's in here now, so we're going to start the Kahoot on American culture and education. Our first question: which of the following universities is an Ivy League university? I think this one is relatively simple, but of course, none of us, I'm assuming that not all of us have been to Ivy League. Harvard University is considered an Ivy League university, not Stanford or MIT or Duke University. Next question. We have Eggy in the lead, and Jessie and Rayhan, Audrey and Aisha. Next question. Which test is commonly required for undergraduate admissions in US universities? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what this one is. The answer is the SAT. What does that stand for, by the way? The Scholastic Aptitude Test. Thank you, Sir Eric. Okay. Eggy is still in the lead with Rayhan close behind. Okay, next question. Which holiday is celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November in the US? A holiday in the US that's in November. What could it be? I'll give you a hint, it's before Christmas. And it is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the holiday that's celebrated on the fourth Thursday of every November, so it changes every year. It's kind of like Lebaran here, no? Okay. And we still have Eggy in the lead with Balkis leading close behind. Which US university is known for its strong focus on technology and engineering? I think this is a little bit self-explanatory in the name, but hopefully nobody gets this one wrong. And it is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Wow, big surprise there, everybody. Now, let's see. Eggy is still in the lead. Andin has risen up from 5th place into 3rd. Okay, let's see what's going to happen in the next question. Everything is very unpredictable. If you've played Kahoot before, you know how easy it is to drop down from that podium. What is the national sport of the United States? I wonder. It's baseball. I totally knew that one too. So congratulations to the 3 people that did not choose American football, which was not the answer. Ooh, okay, Eggy now in 3rd place with Jessica up in 1st. 5 players losing their streak. Okay, what is the common name for an associate degree in the US? Bachelor's degree, master's degree, 2-year degree, or professional degree? It is called the 2-year degree. Now, this one was more in the name, but I see how the last question kind of tricked everybody. We have Eka in the lead at 1st place. Andin in 2nd. Okay. Eggy nowhere to be seen, unfortunately. Which US university is known for founding the first business school? Okay, this one is kind of tough. Mostly because I'm an engineering student. It is Harvard University, the first university known for founding the first business school. Let's see what our rankings are. Jessica in 1st place, Eka dropping to 2nd, and we have Carlos now. Andin in 4th. Andin, pick up the pace. What is the primary language of instruction at most US universities? We have a Spanish in the audience. Don't let that deter you from the correct answer. And it is English. I'm not going to point out the one person who's pressed German because I think that's a very maybe they misclicked, guys. Let's think positive. In Indonesia we have a culture of thinking positive. Jessica in first place. Carlos is back with an answer streak of 3. Second to last question. Now, which of these is not part of the Ivy League? It is Stanford University. A lot of people answered Dartmouth, and I haven't heard of Dartmouth either, so I will answer that too. But it is apparently Stanford. Eka in the lead. Okay, Jessica, Carlos, Cha, and Joel, the guy who answered Spanish, in 5th. Quite a big disparity in the points, but final question, everybody, lock in. Which American city is known for its technology hub, Silicon Valley? And it is San Francisco. We're going to reveal the final rankings of our Kahoot quiz. At 3rd place, with 8 out of 10 correct, we have Cha, like tea. 2nd, we have Jessica. And 1st, is it Reggie? Is it Eggy? No, it's Eka! Round of applause. Okay, so I've been informed that everybody who won can now come up to the stage very quickly to receive their prizes that we prepared. So Eka, Jessica, and T, please come up to the stage. Unfortunately, sir. Oh, I mean, if you're from the United States, then you know what? You deserve a prize for not getting first. Okay, do we know who 4th place is? 4th and 5th. Okay, do we know who 4th and 5th place is? Let's see the podium or view summary maybe. Okay, view full report. Okay, a little bit of... All right. How about Sir Eric selects a random person? Okay, how about the first person who raises their hand? Just do it very quickly.
How about first person to know? Okay. Why don't we give my prize to the first person who can tell me the name of the capital of California? Yell it out. No, not San Francisco. No. Who said Sacramento? You're the winner. Sacramento is the capital of California. So this is your prize. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got 2 other winners here. Have they received their prizes? Because I did not get any information. Okay, in that case, I think we've kind of taken a lot of time. Let's just, if you were on the podium, just screenshot and then We'll give you your prizes after the ceremony has ended. Okay, so very impressive. Congratulations to our top 3 winners, especially the one that got 9 out of 10. That means they weren't snubbed by the American football question. Now that you've answered our questions, it's time for us to ask, wait. Okay, 1 + 1 = 2. It's time for you to ask us questions. So we have a Mentimeter that we've prepared, and if you could please display the thingy. Okay. So we have the Mentimeter on screen right now. Everybody can go ahead and scan it. And we're going to start in, maybe I'll give everybody 30 seconds to very quickly enter the Mentimeter. All right, is everybody in the Mentimeter? Anybody needs to be weighted up on? Can I get a show of hands? No? Okay, so let's start our Mentimeter. So, what is the first word that comes to mind when you think of studying in the US? Any word that just pops up in your head, just write it down. Ivy League, we have Harvard, okay. Columbia. Columbia is actually not in the US, so interesting response. Columbia University is in the US. I don't think Columbia is in the US. Freedom, okay. We have an emoji that says, I don't know. MIT, fun. Pep rally. Eagle. Who wants another word? Is that like part of the Mentimeter, or did someone actually put another word? Expensive is the top pick. We have expensive and Harvard. Okay. Actually very related to what we're going to talk about today. I think we've gotten all the responses, so we have very interesting ones here. We have, wow, okay, I don't think we've got, okay. Chill out. We have, I'm not going to read some of these. We have sports. I don't know what inseedment means, but I see our top words are Ivy League, Harvard, fun, expensive, and freedom. I think that's very accurate, actually, especially the expensive part. I think we can move on to the next slide now. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing American education today? We have funding, equity, curriculum relevance, and teacher retention. I think that with recent developments, I can see why everyone's choosing funding. Okay, a lot of votes for funding, some voting for equity, some voting for curriculum relevance. Okay, I think we have our top scorer. Oh, okay, we had our top scorer and it was funding. On to the next question. In your opinion, what is one change that could significantly improve the American education system? You can put in long words, short words here. If you say something like, oh, maybe let's avoid those two words. This is very much being live broadcasted. If there are FBI agents outside this door, I swear. Allowing foreigners there. Eagle. Let's give this one about 2 or 3 minutes because I think it's quite a convoluted question. Make the lunch better. Maybe. All right, everybody. I get that you like to joke around, but let's please chill out, okay? It's allowing foreigners there, better food. Oh, okay. Rank the following aspects of education in terms of importance for student success. A, teacher quality. B, parental involvement. C, school facilities. And D, curriculum. It's leading with both teacher quality and curriculum right now. I guess in the US, the school facilities are pretty big already. Teacher quality and curriculum leading. I think these two are probably the most correlated with education, so I can see why people are picking these. Okay, I think we have our 2 big answers here. It's curriculum and teacher quality, which we're going to discuss again within our panel discussion. Maybe we can move on. It's a multiple choice question. Imagine you could redesign the American education system. What is the first change you would implement? So a little bit related to maybe your problems before with the education system. Cost. Very, very big cost, pun intended. Healthcare for students, scholarships. Okay, a lot of things about cost here. Price, culture. Better lunch taste. Someone really does not like the food there. Except A levels. Okay, I think we have a traumatized student in the audience. No assignments. Okay, so we have costs and scholarship and scholarships at leading in our biggest little words here. We also have free education, a lot of things related to the cost of US education today. Okay, what specific question you have for our speakers? Okay, so this is your chance to really put your questions on the screen so that later during our panel discussion, we can sort of weave them into what our speakers are talking about because we do have a Q&A session, but that's very, very limited time. So if you do want a question that you want answered, it's very safe to put it here first. One response is blank. Ways on getting fully funded scholarships. Most challenging aspect of being abroad. We're going to give this maybe 1 minute for you guys to come up with questions. I'm seeing a lot of questions about preparation here. So I think that there are people in the audience who do want to continue their education within the US. Oh, there's a question about safety. Question about culture, actually. Very many questions about culture, I think. Two very, very big topics here about cost and application and culture. And finally, have a question about tips to get scholarships. Okay, I'm sure that all of these will be very much be able to be answered by our amazing speakers today. So is this the last slide? Is this the last question? I think that we can move on from this. Oh, okay, one more, I think 3 more questions. All right, let's blaze through this, okay? Which format do you prefer for learning experts? You have A, panel discussions, B, workshops, C, keynote speeches, and D, Q&A sessions. It's a multiple choice, everybody. Chop, chop. Okay, workshops. A lot of people like workshops. Panel discussions also in second place. We have Q&A sessions. Okay, yeah, moving on to the next slide, moving on to the next thing. Stop. Okay, I think this is the last question we have actually. So thank you all very, very much for those 2 very interactive sessions. Really learned a lot about what the audience is looking for within this. So now we're going to move on to our main event. The moment that we've all been waiting for. I know so many in the audience right now is very interested in studying abroad, very interested in the cost of studying abroad, the culture, the knowledge, the application process, and because of that, it is my honor to introduce our distinguished speakers to give us insights and knowledge today about our topic, going beyond through global education. As our first speaker, we have an amazingly talented young woman, an alumni of the extremely selective Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Program, spending an entire year in the US, connecting, learning, pursuing her education, and now studying at the University of Indonesia, pursuing medicine in a double degree international program. Please welcome Miss Arimbi. Our next speaker is a pioneer in global education. And when I say global, I mean it. She was a German teacher. She co-wrote the best-selling book, Things Your English Books Don't Tell You. She's the head of marketing at Smartic, an educational company that teaches math. But also, she's not only an alumni of the prestigious University of Indonesia, but also none other than Harvard itself. Please welcome Ms. Waitatiri. Thank you too so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure to have you here on stage. So a little bit of background. I know that the both of you have very different times that you guys spent within the US. So I know that Ms. Arimbi over here, you spent your high school within the US. Meanwhile, Ms. Waitatiri, you spent your master's degree pursuing it within the US, right? So I think the first thing that I want to ask you is probably about what motivates you? Because going through all of these programs, the application process, the selectiveness, it must have been extremely hard, put in a lot of hard work. So I want to know what inspired you to pursue these opportunities. Maybe we can start with Miss Arimbi.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. Maybe answering your question, what motivates me? Yeah? I'm a Cal Yes alumni, 2021, 2022. And what motivates me first is that, so I went to the US ito during COVID. So what I expect when I was a middle schooler is I want to go to a high school that looks like an American high school. That's one of the background, yeah. But then during my time it was COVID, so I try to find Yoda, let's apply for a program, gitu. So that's one of the main background. The second one is that I was this young girl who really wants to go abroad. Gitu, but I wasn't able to because my parents they work out of town and then I have my younger siblings, so we didn't quite find the right time for it. Sampai akhirnya I went to high school, yeah, and there's this program which I think it's a really good opportunity. So then I applied for the program.
So there's always been this desire within you to pursue a global education, to go abroad and learn. Is that correct?
True, yeah.
So okay. What about you, Miss Waitatiri? Do you have some sort of like the same background in something that's been you wanted to do for a long time, or was it more like something spontaneous?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Y. You can call me Y.
Oh, Y. Okay.
For now, I think that's easier. And the motivation for me to go abroad, I think, to fill in the learning gap that I have to pursue my dream. I have always wanted to contribute in the education sector, in the informal sector. I want to learn more about how to make educational TV shows, educational movies, educational books for children. And I think when I researched about more information on that, I found that I could learn more about that from the experts. I think the resources that I found in the US, specifically in Harvard, is something that I cannot get in other universities, and I decided to pursue it there because they are connected to, you guys may know Sesame Street. It's one of the best educational TV shows in the world, and it's connected to Harvard Graduate School of Education, and I want to learn more from the people, so I decided to apply there.
So your motivation was really being able to go there and acquire all of that knowledge and be able to share that knowledge back home here. Okay, very, very inspirational. Thank you so much for that answer. So, but knowing that both of you did go through a lot to get there, had this passion, had this motivation from the start, when you actually got there, was there anything unexpected, anything that kind of shocked you about the culture, about the programs, about the people? Maybe Ms. Waitatiri, you can continue off your last answer.
Okay. I think this might be different than what we all have seen on social media and on TV. We used to watch a lot of shows that are set in the US. And one thing that I found very different when I got there is how the people are very, very supportive and very friendly. It's unlike what we see on TV. I thought the people are going to be very like cold and like individual, but when I got there, I was a little overwhelmed by the kindness of the people because I didn't expect that. I was like trying to brace myself to just, okay, don't take it personally. They're not mad at you. When they don't talk to you, they're not mad at you. But when I got there and I met the people, how friendly they are, how supportive they are, I think that's one thing that that shocked me. And I think that's something that I need to share because maybe a lot of you are having the same mindset as I did, how people are maybe going to be like cold and individual.
So the culture itself was actually a surprise, but it was a good surprise for you. So it was very nice. The people there were very nice. They were very supportive of you. And was that very helpful to you yourself when, navigating this completely new world?
Yeah, it was very helpful because when I got there, I got imposter syndrome. I felt like I didn't belong there because I wouldn't say I'm the brightest during my study here, during my middle school, high school, and maybe university, I wasn't like the top student. So when I got there, I felt like maybe this is a mistake that they admitted me, but when I met the people and talked to them, they kind of like helped me discover my values, which I didn't know before, but by talking to them, they helped me to see what I can offer and sort of like feel better about myself and more positive.
So that reassurance was really,
Yeah.
really helpful to you.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Miss Arimbi? As for being a high school student, did you also experience the same sort of imposter syndrome, feelings of not belonging as Miss White?
Okay. In the beginning, for like quite a short period of time, actually, but then I agreed with what you have said. They're they're very kind and they love to compliment others. As simple as saying, "Oh, I like your hair. I like your shirt." They said that every day. Bahkan aku kadang nggak kenal orangnya. I don't know who they are, but they compliment me, and that's a really nice thing. The second thing is community service is a thing. Gitu di sana. So when I was in high school, I mean during the program, yeah, they really embrace us to join in a community service. And I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a certain points that you need to complete in order for you to be able to apply for a university. Like one of them is applying for a community service agenda or activities. Gitu. And they really love doing volunteering programs. There are so much opportunities, which I think is di Indo sendiri mungkin aku nggak sebanyak itu melihat volunteering opportunities. I mean you get into organizations gitu ya.
Yeah.
Tapi for volunteering opportunities as simple as misalnya jagain somebody's kids waktu parents-nya lagi rapat, that's considered as a volunteering opportunity. I think that's a good shocking things in the US.
So it was also very, very nice for you to actually meet the people there and go through the culture. So I guess no issues with culture at all. But okay, so no issues with culture, but what about the programs that you guys were in itself, the education system? Was it harder or was it easier, or did you guys have trouble assimilating maybe with different like professors, different teachers, with those types of assignments? Any troubles at all? Maybe Miss Arimbi.
Okay, for me, because I was a high school student, and maybe it would be different with Katwai, yeah. But the teacher were very supporting, yeah, and they know I'm an exchange student, and they would assist me as long as we're open to them, yeah. Communication, I think, is a very important thing. When you're an exchange student, you're able to communicate your maybe your thoughts, get your problem if you have, and then you will always have this. What do you call that? Consular, ya kalau nggak salah waktu itu in my school, and you can communicate anything to them. So for the education system, I really like it, and then you're able to choose the classes you want. They have electives classes and they have the major classes. Major classes like science, biology, math, and electives classes such as woodworking classes. I took woodworking classes, so me as a girl here, I make pen, I make toolbox, things like that I did, and it was really fun. It's a good experience there.
So it was a very, very diverse place for you to learn about very many different skills. Okay, very, very nice. What about Miss Y? Did you also experience this sort of like diverse, creative learning structure?
I think one thing that I find different, I'm trying to compare my learning experience when I was doing my undergrad here in Indonesia and comparing it to the master's that I did there. I think I would say it's a little harder for me because in the master's degree in class, we are expected to be more active in discussions. It's never a one-way lecture. It's always a two-way lecture, and being an international student, they sort of expect, maybe not like directly say it to you, but they kind of expect us to give different perspectives from a different country, like how's education like in Indonesia? Maybe how we apply maybe the curriculum, how the people are saying about the education here. Do they really care about like higher education? How about the parenting process here, everything? So they kind of like expect us to give value through our background, and I find that very nice because like just being an Indonesian, being an international student there, you already add value to the class, and that's I mean, that made me very like happy, and I felt like seen by the people. And I think that's one thing in terms of the program, in terms of like the education, that I find very helpful is how there's no one in class that's like, oh, I didn't know you were in class. In some classes, some people are just like,
They really notice you.
yeah, you're like in the back and no one knows that you're in that class. But like there, they expect the community to participate in everything, so everyone is seen.
So you also kind of experience the same creative freedom. So it's more like the first thing was like, oh no, I can do whatever I want. But then it was like, I can do whatever I want, It's sort of like the freedom that you really enjoyed there. I see. So because these programs were very, very diverse as an educator and as a student, what do you guys think that maybe the Indonesian education system, do you guys think that there are any things within the American education system, which is a very like global leading platform for education, that Indonesia itself can maybe interpret within their teachers or their students or their curriculum? Let's start with the educator, Ms. Y.
Okay. I think one thing that we can start like implementing or like we can do is building genuine connection between the professors, the lecturers, and the students, because that's what I felt there. Like one thing that motivates me the most to come to class and to study is the fact that I had a connection with the professors. Like for example, last year when I was studying there in 2022, no, that's not last year. That's like 3 years ago. But like in 2022, when I was there was an earthquake here in Indonesia, and I think it was quite huge. It made the news like all over the world, and I received a lot of emails from different professors asking me if my families are okay, and asking if I need anything, if I need like maybe emotional support, or maybe if they need to arrange like a donation to support my family if my families are affected. And I think that small kind of like gesture is something that helps the student also to learn. Maybe it's not like directly related to the education itself, but building that connection kind of like motivates the student to learn more.
So it's really about having a connection between the educator and the student itself that you really would like to see within Indonesian education. Because I think that in Indonesia, it's very a little bit closed off between the student and the professor. There's a little bit of a barrier there that it's kind of hard to breach. Maybe Ms. Arimbi can relate to that, as a student as well.
Yes, I absolutely agree with what I have already mentioned. I mean, we talked a little bit about that before too. I was when I was in middle school, I came from a private school, and then during high school, I went to a government school. So I can see like the two different environment there. And from that experience, I do get and agree of how when you're comfortable with the environment, you're excited to go to school and you're excited to study, to learn. That's what I feel when I was in the US as well, because of the teacher, the environment. And I think the same thing happened too during the earthquake. Maybe you were there, but I was back in Indonesia already. And my host family, my friends, my teacher, they texted me juga. I mean, it's a small gesture. I mean, if you think about it, it was a year after or something, and then I got back here already, but they still text me. They ask me if how am I doing and stuff. So I mean, yeah, the connection is the thing I also agree.
The connection is really nice. It's like they saw Indonesia, they saw it was in distress, and they immediately thought of you. And I guess that was very, very nice. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've talked about how much you guys like it there, let's talk about how much you guys probably didn't like the application process. So I want to ask both of you during the application, because I know that LPDP and KLES, very, very highly selective programs. I think the acceptance rate is very, very low. I want to know what you guys did in preparation and sort of the struggles that you had maybe trying to make sure that you seize this opportunity as best as you could. Maybe with Ms. Arimbi, we can start.
Okay, so for my program itself, I think one thing that you have to take notes is that opportunities, there are two ways of you getting opportunities, is that you find it yourself or the opportunity came to you. But for me, I am trying to find that opportunity at that time. Well, I actually have the two things came in at the same time because my senior was an alumni too. So for the application process itself, first with the documents, I think it was a lot of documents for the KLES itself. I think one of the requirements is that you have to have at least an average score of 80, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they change it right now. 80 in average. And then you have to be active because from the program itself, they want to know if you're able to socialize with people around you. That's one of the important things. That's why they will see if you're active in the community, whether in the organizations, volunteering, and stuff like that. That's one thing that they will see from you. You're active in the community, that's from the documents, and then you will have the interview sessions, and then there's a national selection process. For me itself, it took for about a year to apply, so I applied for this program on my 11th grade, and then I went abroad on my 12th grade, and then when I got back, I have another year that I have to go again. I go back as a 12th grader again back in Indonesia. So I have 4 years of high school here in Indonesia for the program.
Okay, so very convoluted sort of application process, but you pulled through in the end. What about Miss Y with the LPDP? Because I think that the KLES is from the American government and LPDP is from the Indonesian government. So were your experience the same or were they different in any way?
I think my experience, I wouldn't say I'm a good example to like talk about the process because I was very rushed in the process. I only gave myself like 3 months for like the whole preparation, including the IELTS test and preparation and everything. I think one thing that we all need to have in the beginning is a clear plan of what we need, like the documents, because there are a lot of documents and we don't want to fail just because we forgot to submit one of the many documents that we have to submit. And I think that's a common mistake that people also make, and it's always better to be over prepared than under prepared. So it's nice to have like a clear timeline of what you want to do, what documents do you need, have a tracker, put everything in one place, just to see which ones are like complete, which ones do you need to like sign. Maybe like for the transcript and for the diploma, you need to sort of like what's the word? You need to validate it with the university, so you have to go back and forth to your previous university. And if you need like proof of vaccine or whatever, like with your doctor, you need to like go to the doctor, you need to have obtained the records. It's a long process. It requires a very good tracking and time management. So I think if you can spare maybe like 6 months or more, that would be ideal.
So
maybe
you
more.
had like half the time to prepare that.
And I don't recommend that. Maybe like more than that.
Okay, so very convoluted. I thought 3 months was very long, but turns out you need up to around 6 months in order to prepare for all of this. Okay, very, very interesting. So with that being said, I think that to wrap up our discussion today, I really want to know just some words that you have that you're hopeful for the Indonesian education system and for everybody here who wants to pursue a global education. Ms. Y.
Okay. Maybe one thing that I keep telling people when they tell me that they want to go abroad is remember that the greatest barrier between you and your dream is yourself. Sometimes maybe as Indonesians, me too, we grew up thinking that someone else must be better than us. Someone else is always better than us.
The
So it's
imposter syndrome.
the imposter syndrome. So it's kind of hard to convince ourselves to pursue the dream because we're afraid of what people might think, because we're afraid that if we fail, people will laugh at us. But I think it's always better to try and fail than never try and guess for the rest of your life.
So always give it your all. Always do your best. Very, very nice words of wisdom. What about you, Miss Arimbi?
For me, I do agree with what Kawai have said. When you have your goals, for example, applying for a certain program, you have to be able to, or you have to have the how do you say this? Do it with an open mind and an open heart. So you have your bag or your yourself full of knowledge later on to fill in for
Always
yourself.
learn.
Always learn. To
Wow.
always learn. That's one of the thing. And then be brave to step out of your comfort zone. And like what Kawaii said, also don't let other ruin your thoughts or like making you feel.
It's all about you.
It's about you, yeah. Your perspective, your mind for later on. So yeah, be brave and then be ready for what's coming up next, and then just enjoy what's going to come later on. So
Okay, thank you both very much. So I think we've had a very productive session here today, and I think that the audience maybe has some questions, maybe some things that they want to ask our two very knowledgeable speakers. So does anybody in the audience have a question? You can just raise your hand immediately to ask both of our two very amazing speakers. You can just repeat your question in the Mentimeter as well. Okay, we have one person in the audience asking a question. Can you come down here, sir? I think we only have time for maybe one or two questions. So, okay, here's a microphone.
This. Okay, I have two question. How is learning at Harvard, and what is the difference between learning and studying in Indonesian specific one? And question two, how can we who cannot go to school balance our learning in Indonesia?
Okay.
Get the point?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the second question?
How can we who cannot go to school balance our learning in Indonesia? Kayak gimana orang-orang yang nggak bisa untuk sekolah keluar tuh kita bisa ngimbangin gitu untuk dapat ilmu dari sana gitu. Mungkin itu sih. Thank you.
Okay. So the differences within education and how to actually pursue that education, very interesting. Maybe, does anybody want to start? Oh yeah, the Harvard graduate herself.
Okay, maybe I can answer the first question. You asked about what is the difference between learning there and here. And I think aside from the one that I already mentioned about the class being a two-way discussion instead of like a one-way lecture, another thing that this might be also maybe a tip for a lot of you guys who want to study abroad is to familiarize yourself or like be more to get used to reading a lot of text. I think that's something that we need to prepare because of the class is a two-way discussion. So before you come to class, you're expected to read certain amount of like journals and books and just gather questions and maybe points of discussions there. So when the professor come to class, they will usually begin the class by asking like questions about the topic. So, and since they expect us to give value in the class, we need to already have like read the whole thing, so we know what's being discussed and sort of like connect it to our country. I think that's another thing that's a little different is when we're there, we're a foreigner, we're an international student, so we have some things that we think everyone might know, but they don't. Like for example, when I was there, the people, they didn't know that in Indonesia, it's not okay to talk back to our teacher when they're talking without raising our hand. It's something new for them. So I think a lot of things that we grow up with, it's something that they don't know. So we need to give maybe like context when we're explaining in class. But that's something that I really appreciate, being able to like contribute to the class using our background and maybe having people discuss the problem in our country as well. Like for example, when I say in Indonesia, there's a gap between the teacher and the student, they will be open to discussing how I can kind of like solve the problem when I go back to Indonesia. And I think that's very interesting.
So it's really about the culture over there where you're not only encouraged to share, but it's almost like you have to share. Like when you're in the classroom, you are a part of the classroom. You
Yeah.
have to be a part of the discussion, anything with the professor and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Arimbi, same experience?
Kalau untuk itu maybe tadi different ya di Harvard gitu. Aku mungkin jawab yang second questions ya.
I think
Kayaknya
you're still
second question ya.
qualified. Yes.
Okay. Maybe the second question I'll try to answer it in bahasa ya. Tadi mungkin how to balance education ya kalau misalnya we didn't go abroad gitu ya. For me itu education itu nggak cuma learning in class aja. Tapi like what I experience in the US itu education is about you socializing with others, balance it with your let's say your hobbies and your stuff. Jadi gak harus pergi abroad juga gitu ya for us to balance our education and our life gitu. Bisa aja dengan ngikutin let's say kalau di Indonesia for high schoolers ada extracurricular, terus ada juga memang hobi-hobi yang kita sukain. For me that's balancing education with organizations, with volunteering. For me that's the way for you to balance both sih menurut aku mungkin itu. Mungkin ada tambahan dari Kak Wai?
Sama sih, menurut aku kayaknya memang education is not only what happens in class. Jadi when you feel like oh I'm behind because my friends like they go abroad and I don't go abroad, so I must be so they must be better than me. Maybe we tend to think like that, but I like to think that the value of someone is not solely based on their education. There are a lot of people who have like higher education, but in terms of like emotional intelligence are very poor. So I think education and intelligence is measured in a lot of like different factors. And when you can present yourself, when you can present yourself well, when you are well articulated, when you can communicate well, I think that's already a huge plus. You don't have to like compare it based on like solely the academic achievements.
So it's very much over there about your own value and not trying to, surpass someone or not trying to compare yourself with other people. Okay, very, very amazing answers from two of our speakers. Any other questions from the audience? Maybe regarding the, oh yeah, sir? Boleh dikasih mic?
I want to question Miss Arimbi. Do you have a passion to continue your education after high school in US? Thank you.
Langsung jawab?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. Namanya siapa, Bapak siapa?
My name is Daniel.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Pak. So for now, ya saya sekarang udah kuliah kebetulan. Saya kuliah di Fakultas Kedokteran Universitas Indonesia. Untuk dulu memang while I was in high school gitu ya, sempat kepikiran untuk ambil deh another jenjang gitu ya untuk kuliah di US. Cuman memang waktu itu konsiderasinya dua. Saya antara kalau di luar negeri itu kan nggak bisa ambil kedokteran ya. Kalau misalnya di luar negeri sebenarnya karena kalau misalnya kita ambil kedokteran penyakitnya beda, yang dipelajari beda. Jadi itu salah satu konsiderasinya. Yang kedua, kalau misalnya saya ke luar negeri, oke, mungkin saya ambil maybe international relations atau business. Jadi waktu itu sempat apply juga. Saya sempat apply ke beberapa university, tapi memang karena waktu SMA juga saya ambilnya IPA ya kalau di sini ya science. Jadi let us find program yang kira-kira bisa ada dua opsi sekaligus. Jadi makanya di UI sendiri saya ambil yang double degree. Jadi di Indonesia dulu, nanti kalau udah kuliahnya keluar. So yeah, there are thoughts like that, and I think it's possible kok untuk itu juga. Thank you.
So you did have thoughts about pursuing education outside of Indonesia, but ultimately it's a very convoluted process too. I think you don't really want to go through all of that application, all of that again. But you still got into the University of Indonesia, which is very prestigious. So I think it's still quite an accomplishment for you. And you're pursuing an international degree, right, with double degree programs. So I think it's still quite in line with what you've been doing or what you've wanted. So thank you so much to Pa Daniel for the question. We still have time for a few more questions actually. So we have two in the audience. So maybe we can have, I don't know who that young lady is over there, but maybe we can give her a mic. We can have both questions actually.
So, hello speakers. My name is Balkis. We already talked a lot about the good sides of the US. can I please ask about whenever you're there, what's one thing you feel like, I think I like it better in Indonesia? Probably like the food or the weather or the environment as well.
Not the weather.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, I think both of you probably have experience with this, so we can start with maybe Miss Y.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. I think this is a little like hard to answer. Maybe one thing that bothers me the most is the weather. I'm like not used when I went to the U.S. That's like my first time abroad, my first time in the U.S. So I didn't expect. I mean, I see winter a lot on TV. It looks nice. It looks like great. It looks like all white and Christmassy, like what I see in like Home Alone. But when I went there, I didn't expect it will sort of like mess up with my body and my skin so much. So that's one thing that that might be we might need more time to adjust, especially for people like me. Like I grew up in Bekasi, which is very hot, and then when I went there, the coldest that I felt, I was in Boston, which is apparently a little colder compared to like a lot of other states. When I went there, I think the coldest that I felt was like minus 35 degrees Celsius. So like my Bekasi skin, like didn't like the weather, didn't like the snow and everything. So I took a lot of time to like come to the doctor to sort of like consult about like my skin and everything. But I think that is something expected, of course, because we're moving abroad and we're facing like new weather that we have never met before. It's a very interesting experience. It wasn't nice, but it was something I can tell like stories about in the future.
It's a fun story.
Yeah, and I think when I think about it, I enjoy Bekasi better. Maybe
Better than Boston.
maybe I don't know. Maybe because I was there for like only a year. Maybe if I
Yeah.
was there for like 2 years, I'm starting to like be more adjusted to the weather because it's just 1 year maybe.
Okay, very interesting about the weather and being from Bekasi. Speaking of being from Bekasi, I know that Miss Arimbi is also from Bekasi. So, how was your skin?
I think it's the same like Kak Wai juga ya. Jadi ngelopek-ngelopek waktu itu ya Kak ya.
Iya.
Jadi red and ngelopek-ngelopek karena especially aku juga di Colorado waktu itu ya. It was very fun at first, the first month, second month, tapi habis itu kedinginan gitu ya.
Is Colorado a very cold state then?
Yes, I could say. Ya, jadi more like the wind ya, the wind. So
Okay,
walaupun it is sunny, tapi the wind,
The
wah
wind is
itu
cold and
dingin
dry.
banget iya. And then I think the other thing selain weather ya, I think the food. Ya, gitu. Aku tuh waktu baru banget pulang itu langsung makan nasi padang di bandara. Langsung makan nasi padang di bandara. So the food ya, I really miss the food. Terus juga pastinya walaupun di sana ada culture yang kayak Christmas, Halloween, it was fun. Tapi tetap aja aku kangen lebaran, ya nggak sih? Lebaran, opor ayam and stuff like that yang bener-bener makanan yang berempah-rempah tuh pasti dikangenin banget. And I think that's a challenge karena belum tentu di setiap state itu ada resto Asian restonya gitu ya. So that's like the challenge sebenarnya di sana gitu.
So very much challenges on culture again because obviously both of you grew up in Bekasi. So from Bekasi to Boston, Bekasi to Colorado, it's very much a shock for you and especially your skin, I think. So yeah, very, very interesting answers from both of you. Okay, I think we had another young lady in the audience that wanted to ask.
Hello, Kak Arimbi and also Kak Wai. I am Yovela. It's very nice to know you. And thank you also for the opportunity. I want to ask, in Indonesia, especially for education, has become a critical topic, right? And we know that we change our curriculum a lot. So my question is, what do you think that we need to improve in education sector based on your experience of living in America for like several years? Thank you.
Okay, so improvements to the Indonesian education system based on your experience in America. Very interesting question. Miss Y?
Okay. I think one thing that we can improve, I see that we still can improve, is giving more independence to the children in terms of learning, because I think we change our curriculum a lot, but I think most of the curriculum still kind of like relies on the teacher to sort of like move the children. It's like the puppet of the education. And I think that's what makes a lot of Indonesian children have very low motivation. I think because the way they see education is something that is like shoved for them. It's not something that they are willing to do. It's something that
obligation.
Yeah, it's an obligation that they just have to do. It's not something that they know why they are doing. So I think by giving reasoning, allowing the children to sort of like question, I think that's one thing that we need to start implementing, allowing them to ask questions. Maybe we don't always have the answer, but by asking a lot of questions, they sort of like learn to develop their mindset as well in the future.
So it's really about what you experience within the US,
Yeah.
being allowed that creative freedom to really explore, not bound by what the teacher is telling you to do, and exploring different ways. Okay, very interesting. Thank you. Miss,
Mungkin kalau tadi Kawai udah dari education-nya ya, karena udah expert di education-nya juga nih. Kalau aku lebih ke mungkin the bonding ya between student and teacher connection gitu. Tadi aside from the education, which I totally agree, tapi juga again like as we mentioned earlier, kalau misalnya we have a nice environment with the friends, with the teacher, we're happy to learn gitu in our class gitu. And I think that's the one thing that not all school, maybe some school, yes, in Indonesia they implement this, but not all school. And if most of the school applied this teacher and student bonding probably, but still being respectful ya tentunya ya. I think it will be great and nice for us to learn, because I'm really excited to go to school if if I love the environment. So yeah.
So that connection that both of you experience is what you guys believe is probably the key to making children excited to pursue education, because obviously they're not alone in education, and if they don't like the teacher, then it's not really a good way of sort of helping them learn. Very interesting answers from both of you. Thank you so much. We still have time for a few more questions from the audience. Yes, we have another young lady here. Other members of the male species are encouraged to ask.
Okay. Hi. So maybe background information before I ask my question. I've actually also been to the U.S. on the same program Kak Arimbi went on, but I'm also considering going to the U.S. for undergraduate. Maybe this is a question more suitable to Kak Wai. Why the U.S.? Why Harvard? Was out of all the other countries in the world and all the other universities you could have went to, why was Harvard and the U.S. your top choice? Thank you.
Thank you. I can just answer. Okay. Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. I think when we're trying to decide where we want to continue our study, a lot of things come as a factor. The first one is the location, of course. Is it safe? Is it like the weather? Maybe you can prepare earlier, and also the environment, the facilities in the university. When I applied for sorry, I think a mosquito just like came to my mouth. sorry. There was a mosquito. When I first applied,
Welcome to Indonesia.
it came in again when you said that.
Please take your time.
When I applied, I only applied to one university, which is Harvard, because I only found the answer to what I'm looking for there. I was looking for a resource where. Can I have? Sorry, is it? Sorry for the interruption. Okay. Sorry. It's a very Indonesian thing to just like have things come into your mouth when you're talking. I'm sorry. Yeah, I only applied to one school because it had one thing that I was looking for, which is the resources, the network to the people that I need to learn from, because I want to learn something more practical. So I'm looking for a university and a program that allows me to connect with the industry leaders, in this case, to connect with the people who are working in the educational TV shows industry. So I think when researching for a program, it's important to know who is in the program, the people that are going to interact with you, and what are their backgrounds. Is it well aligned with your background? I think when you find a professor or like someone in the program that aligns with your background, it kind of like solves the problem that you're facing when you're deciding. So it's important to know what resources you will get, and how they are going to support your vision, or like what you want to pursue in the future.
See, so it's you really did your research, really look for something specific that only Harvard, out of all the universities in the world, only they had, and you've experienced that connection, especially with the professors and everything, and that's what allowed you to really learn and come back to Indonesia and spread that knowledge. So thank you so much for the answer. Thank you so much for the question. I think we have time for one more question from the audience. Anybody that wants to ask? I saw a lot of questions about scholarships and costs. Okay.
Okay, thank you. First of all, my name is Jacinda, and I do have a question. You guys, both Kak Arimbi and Kak Wai, told us that there's many things we need to prepare to go abroad, right? And so, do you guys have like any tips on like maybe which one should we get done first, like the order or the systems to make it more efficient? Thank you.
So organizational process and just trying to organize all like 50 documents you have to prepare. Maybe Miss Arimbi has any knowledge on that.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I think first you have to set first your goals on which application or which program are you going to apply. And then like what Kak Wai said, jangan mepet-mepet kalau misalnya apply, karena dokumennya banyak banget dan ngisi itu bisa panjang banget gitu ngisi dokumennya ya. So first do some research dulu, nanya-nanya with the alumni and stuff. I think it's a really good thing gitu ya kalau misalnya mau apply for high school program. So dari kelas 10 kalau bisa udah tanya-tanya. And then for maybe kalau misalnya mau programnya waktu kuliah ya tanya-tanyanya waktu high school gitu ya, tanya-tanya programnya. And aside from that, biasanya yang akan ditanyakan when you want to apply for a certain program is that your organizations, your experience di community itu biasanya akan sangat penting, either a competition or organizational experience gitu ya. The certificate usually it's going to add up your points when you apply for a certain program, biasanya sama seperti itu ya. And then again, biasanya ada average grades for you to apply to a certain program, so pay attention to that. And I think other things is just pay attention to the deadlines again gitu ya, jangan sampai ke skip or segala macam karena they're very strict, especially for my program itself. Nggak ada tuh namanya ini lupa nih satu hari padahal cuma 50 misalnya 15 menit dong. No, late is a late thing gitu. Jadi kayak pay attention to the deadline and then set up for your goals dulu so that you know what are you going to prepare and like the documents, the interview and stuff like that. Nanya-nanya sama alumni is very needed sih menurut aku.
Okay, Ms. Wai?
Maybe one thing to add, I agree with all the points that Arimbi has said. One other thing that might be helpful is to have a support system, like from your friends. If maybe they're applying to the same thing, or maybe not, just have a group, maybe a few friends that kind of like acts as each other's mentor, and also trying to keep track of everything, so they kind of like remind you, the deadline is in a week, have you prepared the whole thing? So I think it's nice to have someone to sort of like see how far you've come so far, and what else do you still need to prepare. I think that's very helpful.
So basically someone else to keep you responsible because I think it's very, very hard when you have so many documents to prepare, so many things to write. What was probably, I want to ask, like the hardest document to get a hold of? Was it maybe the essay you had to write, or maybe something like the transcript or something like that? Just to get an insight on what the administrative process really is like for the both of you. Maybe Ms. Arimbi can share.
For the document, I didn't quite remember, what was the hardest one, but probably the essay, like your motivation letter essay. Usually, they will always have motivation letter essay. For me, it's tricky. Karena you have to be yourself first. Nggak bisa dibuat-buat karena they will know if if
You have to
you're
be
not being yourself.
authentic.
See, be authentic. But it also can be tricky karena you have to state your your goals, your motivation, but don't make it like too general gitu ya. Biasanya they will choose for the one that have specific goals. Okay, for example, a Kelly's program. I don't remember ya waktu itu ada apa nggak motivation letternya. But when you apply for a specific program, state your goals, and then later when you come back or after the program, what are you going to do? So it's not just about like why are you applying for the program, but what impact are you going to give back from the program? So that's usually what they're going to see from a motivation letter, and that could be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, that does sound tricky because you have to be authentic, and you also have to sort of market yourself, right? Which I think is kind of like hard to do at the same time. And you also have to sort of like tell them like what you want. So three different clashing things. How did you deal with like trying to sort of incorporate all of that in the same document?
Honestly, from what I always did, gitu, every time I wrote down a document, I always make bullet points. Gitu. So we make bullet points dulu.
For each paragraph? Or?
Yeah, for each paragraph. I usually write the bullet points and then specific goals. Make sure there's a specific goal so that people know like our main objectives from the essay. I think that's what I always do, and it was really helpful. Gitu kalau aku dulu sih.
Okay, Miss Wai.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I completely agree with what Arimbi just said. I think motivation letter is something that's very important to prepare in the beginning. And another one would be, I think, the English score, IELTS or TOEFL. I think that's one thing that you also need to spare some time to, like prepare. Maybe also spare some time to retake the test if you don't reach the minimum score. That's something that you need to pay attention in the beginning to just see which of the documents take the most time, like maybe the motivation letter and also the English test score, and sort of like build the timeline from there.
Okay. So very much again on the application process, but more on the tests that you have to take, because I know that those tests are quite complicated. You have to schedule an appointment. They're quite expensive too. So I think that those two things. Very quick question, because I know that a lot of people like to ask this. TOEFL or IELTS?
IELTS, maybe. I don't know. I've never taken TOEFL, and I saw
see.
like a course on both, and I think IELTS is more interesting somehow. I don't know why. So
I
I
think
just
they have
like
more
took
steps
IELTS.
to their testing process as well, right? Because they have a listening process, talking process.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it depends on the requirement as well.
Okay. So thank you both very much for those amazing answers. So are there any more questions in the audience? If not, I think we can wrap it up. Anybody else want to ask a very last minute question? Okay, going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, so I think that sort of wraps it up for today. So thank you both very, very much. It was such an honor to be here moderating the panel today. Very, very, very interesting insights from both of you, from two completely different educational backgrounds, to completely different programs, to completely different, I guess, states. Are they different? Boston and probably different, right? Same Bekasi though. So two very different paths that both of you took. Very appreciated. Thank you so much to At America for hosting us, and don't forget to catch the TEDxSU talks. So thank you everybody for being here today. And I forgot what it said on my cue card, but stay curious.
All right, can we give another big round of applause to our panelists and also our moderator for today? Thank you so much, Kak Wai, and also Kak Arimbi, for sharing meaningful experiences and also new insights as an international student. And also thank you, Philip, for navigating the discussion. So earlier in this event, we had a trivia question for you, and the question was, is it true or false it's not possible to obtain a bachelor's degree and a master's degree at the same time in the US? And the correct answer to that is false. In a joint degree program, students begin a graduate program in their 4th year of college, earning both degrees upon graduation. Congratulations to Thelso on YouTube for answering correctly. Stay tuned to our social media platform if you find yourself enjoying this event. And for more updates, you can also visit our website at www.atamerica.org.id. Follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at AT America. And also, you can always rewatch our previous programs on our YouTube channel at AT America. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Stay tuned to our upcoming event. My name is Hasna, and see you on the next At America event. Have a great weekend, everybody.